Hi, all Molox Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Um, so, I think last episode I lost all my stuff. Uh, could not find it anywhere. Uh, Went back, looked at my video. We definitely searched the area where it was at. Um, Came back with Fret and Fit. Definitely did not find any of my stuff at all. So, I have gotten some new stuff. A lot of it was donated by Fit and Fret, and so I do have some supplies. I'm not totally out here. Looks like we got updated um, to 18.2, which has got some fixes for sure. Look at that. They made a giant lack face. Probably, maybe if they get on soon enough, join up with them. Uh, Probably, I'm gonna say this is probably gonna be the last video from the server. It runs out on the 11th, and today is the 5th. Wait, if it runs, oh no, he said the 8th. It runs out on the 8th. So there's 3 more days, and I don't think I record in the next 3 days. Nope. It'll be 4 days before the next time I record 7 Days to Die. So yeah, this is probably our last day to get on here and look around at everything. I think I had my motorcycle last episode. So we'll take a quick peek here at Fred's place. Oh man, he has done a lot of work since last time I was here. I think last episode it was all tore down, and so it looks like he's built himself a little modern style house. I guess it's not done yet. Looking pretty good. Whoa, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. Oh, I was like, man, is this your secret spot that you can't get into? But no. Oh, look, he's got pumpkins. I haven't done those yet. Pumpkins. And then of course the giant pit that goes all the way down. Man, I came over here. I came over here with my motorcycle, and the other day, and I was driving it around crazily, and went right into the pit. Right into the pit. Had to empty out its contents and then carry it back up. Yeah, it didn't work out too well. Then we'll head over here to Fitz. We'll take a quick look at Fitz's place. I don't think his has really changed too much. Oh, he's got much more farming in than the last time I was here. Also, I'm not getting the artifacting, so too much. I forget. I never can remember. Oh, right, it's outside. I was like, where is the path down? I know there's a path down. Yep. So those guys definitely put way more effort into their bases than I did. To be fair, they also played way more than I did. So I only made it up to what uh, level am I? Level 38. I think they're in their 60s. Man, I've got 4 points to spend too. I was putting points into this healing factor. I wanted to get it all the way up, so I just regain hit points. Um, and to be honest, I mean, what else am I going to put it into? Uh, uh, I mean, I guess some gunslinger. I do occasionally use my pistol, so I prefer to use my AK if I can find enough ammo for it. But yep, that's kind of where we're at on the server. I'm gonna head out here and see about this quest I've got. Retrieve the supplies. I read that they've reduced the amount of the rewards, so that kind of sucks. But one of the cool things that I read was that they have updated the amount of rotten flesh that you get. And so when you kill zombie animals, you get as much rotten flesh off them as you get regular flesh off of normal zombies. So that's pretty awesome. Because that rotten flesh is hard to find sometimes, and it's used in so many things. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I really haven't gotten the recipes going, honestly. Um, and I definitely probably wouldn't be level 38 already on here if it wasn't for doing all the tier 5 quests with everybody all at once. Okay, it looks like we've got fetch quest in the busted up apartment building. That's what it's looking like to me. I heard an angry zombie. Oh man, you know what I don't have is I don't have a silencer on my gun. I also apparently don't have frames. I need frames if I'm gonna cheat my way up here, right? Uh, yeah, D&D was interesting this week. I don't know how long we're going to be trapped in this particular mode of game, but we are in the in between realms of, are we doing something or are we wandering around? And we definitely hit one of my least favorite things, and that is getting quest information on quests we're not allowed to actually interact with. And I totally didn't bring a backup pistol type weapon. I despise our DMs. I despise it. Whoa. He does this thing where he'll tell you something, but it won't mean anything, and there's no resolution to it, or it's information you're going to need like 20 sessions later. And I hate it. I hate when he does that. And so I'm not saying that we shouldn't have learned about it, because obviously that's where it's supposed to happen in the game. But then he doesn't let us do anything about it because the the information about what's going to happen is um, in like a later section of the game. Man, blood bags, I haven't seen those in forever. Uh, and because we're on chapter 2, we can't, we're not even allowed to research about it. And I hate it. I hate it. And so we found out. Well, we were supposed to rescue this guy, right? Floon, and we rescued Floon. And so then after we rescued Floon, in the process of rescuing Floon, they were asking him if he knew where this stone was. And so because they thought he was nice, because they thought he was this other guy, um, Floon, of course, didn't know anything about it. But we know the other guy, the guy that they mistook him for. And so when we started our session, that's the last piece of actual information we had received, was that they wanted this stone. And so I wanted to start investigating the stone because that's why they took him. So why is the first quest in the game to get Floon, which leads you to information about the stone, if we're not allowed to actually investigate the stone? And now, like I said, it's not completely my DM's fault because we're playing an adventure. But his inability to adapt at all means that he is always giving us information about things that he won't give us the rest of the information on, no matter what. And so, weird. Oh, right. You go out the window onto the ledge. I want to see if we can get up and now that I've completed my quest, I thought we'd try and see if we can find some books. And so yeah, it's super frustrating to get to get in there, and then like so he told us last week, right? We found out about the stone last week, or not last week, but the last time we played, because it's been a couple of weeks since we played. And he won't tell us. He won't tell us about anything. And so he tells us about this private investigator. And so I'm like, okay, so I think we should get this private investigator that we now know about, because that's a weird thing to learn about. Like, why'd you tell us about a private investigator? And then to tell us you can have him search for stuff. I'm like, well, okay, we want to know about this stone. We should get him to search for the stone. And then I'm like, we know the guy that they wanted to torture for information, right? So maybe we can just ask him what he knows about the stone. And so we head over to his place, and then our DM, he's like, I'm telling you right now, he doesn't actually know anything about the stone. I'm like, okay. And he's like, but I guess you can ask him, and we'll see if he knows anything about the stone. Okay. And so he's like, so I want you to roll a D100. And I'm telling you right now, you got to get lower than a 10. Okay. So it gets rolled. We get like a 27. He's not home. You can't. They don't know where he's at, and they don't know when he'll be back. But he's not home right now, so you can't talk to him. So why didn't you just die? Wow. And so that's super frustrating. And so being told that he's not going to have any information about it is not the frustrating part. It's the making us go through the motions of describing how we want to go out to the place and rolling dice and having him look through his notes about going to the place and where the place is at and whether or not we know where it's at, and then to just go, yeah, he's not home. We wanted to send a message to him. We didn't want to go to his house. We have this thing, this magic bird paper that we can use one time to send a message, and so we wanted to use that. And for whatever reason, he's like, "No, you don't want to use that." Uh, and that's when he told us that they wouldn't. I fell out of the building. I'm not going back in there. That's terrible. And so that was annoying. And here's my bike. And then he told us that we're going to be having downtime, which, like I said, whoa, bad doggy, which I think is a dumb mechanic, downtime. Um, and So we have to get faction because nobody's going to talk to us without faction. I'm like, well, we already know who was asking about the stone, and we know a guy who had something to do with the stone, maybe, or they think he had something to do with the stone, but you won't let us talk to him because the book says we need to get faction. But telling us that we need faction levels is immersion breaking. And so, I mean, like, I'm not saying I would have changed it necessarily, um, but I probably would have done it differently. And so, like, sure, they talk to Rainier, but then he tells them, um, maybe he knows a little bit about the stone, but not anything concrete, not where it's at or anything. But maybe he knows a guy, and so then you go and you talk to the guy, right? And then the guy's like, "Well, I mean, I'm not going to trust you with this kind of information unless I know you're trustworthy. So how about you do this thing for me?" I mean, that's how D&D works, right? And so then you get a quest from them. You don't sit there and tell your players, no, they got no information. You have to get levels in faction, and so here's your first faction quest, and you have to go investigate this other thing, and then we'll see, and you can get some levels in faction first in this other group, and so we're basically not allowed to talk to anybody because he can't improvise at all. And so then we go and we do this thing, and he downloaded a guide, which is different than the actual adventure book that the adventure comes from, and so here again, I don't know what his guide says. I do not have his guide. I do, however, have the adventure book because I own almost all the D&D 5th edition books, and so the adventure book says there's one big text block that says this particular quest that we're on. If your people are level 2, which we are, then they'll get a quest from these guys, which are the ones he picked for us. Not that we got to pick, he picked for us. And these guys, you will go investigate a murder. So then the information he gives us is wrong, as usual for him. And so then we go, and I'm like, we should go talk to the captain of the guard in that particular area because we've met him twice. So maybe he knows something about these murders. And so then, of course, that's not in the guide, and it's not in the book, so that guy doesn't know what we're talking about. And so the other guy with us asks if there's like a bounty on the murder, and he's like, well, well, we don't really know anything about these murders, so we don't have a bounty on them. And I'm like, well, do you have bounties on other things going on? He's like, well, no, there are no bounties, because that will require improvisation. And so yeah. Uh, so then I'm like, okay, so guys killing elves and half elves. We have a half elf on our team who's good at disguise and performances. So let's disguise him as the type of person that's being killed, and we'll have him try to be the bait. Now that seems like a perfectly reasonable plan, and the problem is that's not what the guide says. The guide says uh, that you have to investigate specific taverns, but nobody ever told us where to go. Although we did piece together some clues about it after he told us that we had to go to the different places to get clues. You guys aren't going to be able to solve this without going to the different bars and getting clues. Um, okay. And so, of course, every place we go, nobody has any information. And it's like I said, it's the thing I hate. I don't think that you should have to drag your way through constantly asking everything you run into what's going on. And if you're involved in something, you should have some idea. Like, you don't just go, "Hey, 3 people have been murdered down on the docks. I want you to find out about them." Well, who are they? I don't know. Where were they murdered? I don't know. Are they related to each other? I don't know. So how do you know 3 people were murdered? I just know. So 3 people were murdered. We have to solve 3 potentially unrelated murders. The only piece of information is they're killing elves and half elves in the entire section of the city, uh, with no clues. And the people who are supposed to know about it don't know about it. And so that's great. And we did finally go to the place because they are being killed in alleys. So I asked which places had alleys, and so he gave us a list of which places had alleys, and then we asked for a list of places where elves frequented, and so there was only one bar that met both those places. And so then we went there, and then we fought the guy. Uh, and I was rolling terrible. I'll bet I rolled, including my add-ons, whatever it was. I'll bet I rolled a 7 20 times last night. It was ridiculous, a 7. Ugh. But yeah, I definitely hoped for better numbers than that. Um, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But we won. We won. I did get the um, my. I'm playing a fighter this time because it's my favorite class, and I've been shying away from it the last couple of campaigns. Um, and and so this campaign, I'm like, nope, I'm going back to my favorite. I know it's usually considered the easy class to play, but I really like it. It's a lot of fun to me. I find wizards a little boring, to be honest. I'm also playing a sword bard, which I've started to play one time in that campaign that hasn't been updated in like 300 days now. Um, I'm hoping we make it to 365, and so I'm kind of excited to see where that goes because that's a hybrid class, half bard or half caster, half sword fighter, and but I think he's considered a full caster or a 3/4 caster. Um, but yeah, so we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, to see where this campaign goes. I don't really know anything about it. I knew how it started because I had started running it for people, and then they didn't want to play it anymore. Or I mean, I don't know if they didn't want to play it anymore, but 2 of them stopped responding. So I stopped asking, and so we just stopped, and we're past where we were at. But man, I don't. I wish he was a little better at weaving the information into the story. I know in the last or the second campaign we did with him, the second adventure, because we did the first adventure was Lost Mines, and the second adventure takes place in like the same general area. So we ran that one with the same characters. It's called Princes of the Apocalypse. And right off the bat, like the first place we came to, they're like, there's this prospector and she went missing and no one's seen her since. And then no one had any information about where she was at or what happened to her. And then um, the next place we came to, they're like, yeah, there were these young family who ran a ranch, and they hadn't heard from them in a while, so they went out to check on them, and they're missing. And so then we couldn't find any information about what happened to them. And I think it turned out in the end that they were captives in the last dungeon of the game, but we never were allowed to have any clues as to that's what happened to them. And so we probably asked in a dozen different places about what happened to those people, and no one ever knew. And then we just accidentally found them in the dungeon. And it wasn't even like the bad guys were kidnapping people. That wasn't even a thing in the game. I mean, I think it was supposed to be, but our DM never laid that out like that. So they were trying to destroy towns, but we never had a moment where they were kidnapping people. And so I'm not sure why they were taking prisoners, to be honest, because I mean they weren't sacrificing people or anything. So I don't know why they were taking prisoners at all. Just that they had done so. Whoa, there I am. And that we weren't allowed to know that until ever. I mean, seriously, we started the first night we learned about those two things, and the last night we played, we rescued them. And that's months of playtime with no clues, even though we kept asking about those people. And so he does that kind of stuff all the time because it's in the book. It's in the book at that moment. But there's no way that we're ever going to get, like, you know, why wasn't that weaved into a tale about how they were taking prisoners and or captives, not prisoners, and they are being taken deep into the bowels of their base where we couldn't go when we first started because we were too little. It would make sense that we wouldn't want to search through all that stuff. Um, I that just made me think of another thing. Was the the uh, we had a quest. No, we were told about how people were afraid of this skull on the side of the road, I think, and and we went to investigate it. And so while we were there investigating it, all that happened was one guy touched it, and that's it. That's all that happened in our campaign. He touched it, and that was it. Um, Turns out in the book, so it was like, I mean, we're not talking like we want to go investigate the skull. Oh, you reach the location of this skull. It's on the side of the road. Um, it's just a black skull on a post near the road. What do you want to do? And the guy goes, I want to touch it. You touch the skull. You feel a slight shiver rush through your body. And that's it. Nothing else happens. No, no, no. It's, what roads do you want to take? Let me roll to see if you get attacked along the way. It's going to take you X amount of hours. You're going to have to camp out before you get there. Um, just all sorts of stuff like that. And so it's like a 40-minute process to touch a skull that did nothing for us. In the book, it was supposed to give the person who touched it a buff so that they wouldn't, undead wouldn't like them and would. There's a spell I think called Sanctuary, I think it's called in the game, where if something tries to attack you, it has to roll to see if it's going to attack you or attack someone else because you have Sanctuary. It basically put that on you for a few hours, but just against undead. And so even though one of the other guy who plays touched it, he didn't get that buff because we immediately went to another place and fought undead, and it didn't happen. He did not get any kind of, oh, I thought I had fuel in there. He did not get any kind of bonus for that. And so then it just becomes a waste of time. And I hate a waste of time. And which is different than wasting your time. Like, I'm okay with wasting my own time. But I hate when the DM just does something to waste my time. Because we didn't get XP for it. He doesn't, like for my games, I give out exploration XP when you discover a new place. It's not a lot, but it's something. We didn't even get that. He doesn't get out that. We only get XP for killing things. We don't XP for anything except killing things in his games. I think part of that is passive-aggressive protest because we like to get XP, and he would prefer to do we level up when he says so. And so, man, I need some gas. Is there any cars in the junkyard? There are. Sweet. All right, I'm going in here. All right, well, with that, I am going to call it a day. So click like if you like. Subscribe so you can catch the next one. And I will... Oh, you know what? We will probably be on my single player next time. So we'll be back to the grind. So I'll talk to you later.